You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Walking Dead After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Walking Dead After Show.
Hey guys, and welcome to The Walking Dead AFTERBUZZ After Show. Joining me tonight, the lovely Kristin Carole.
Hey guys.
And next to her, we have a special guest with us, AFTERBUZZ TV host Megan Salinas.
Hi everyone. She is, Derrial and Nando didn't make it again. These zombies are taking them.
Well, Megan, did you by chance kill one of them while they were golfing and the other in their trailer?
No, I would never.
Okay, well, I believe you wholeheartedly.
I do too. She has both eyes.
Yeah, I totally believe her. There's no way she would ever be lying.
Whatever gave you that impression?
I think she's
No way
just
at
the
all.
other. I think she's the governor's Megan grown up.
Probably.
I can think of one or two issues with
And guys, I'm Dave Klein, and we have another episode. This is our second episode in a row without any of the prison crew, minus the last 1 minute, but that doesn't count. So pretty much another entire episode without the prison crew to get more story on the governor. We actually got some backstory on him too, which we'll get into, and we actually do it right at the start. So the start is this juxtaposition between two different scenes. One is the governor with Megan getting taken out with Martinez, who still doesn't really trust the governor, but taking him out because he wants to take in the family that the governor has, juxtaposed with the governor talking with Megan over chess and while they're playing chess. So we get that scene play out.
I really liked that scene. It was, it wasn't action-packed, but because it went back and forth, I was kind of on the edge of your seat because him talking with Megan with the chessboard was definitely foreshadowing what's to come. You can't take forever. Sooner or later, you have to make a move. That's what he says to Megan. And that's basically what he ends up doing later on. And I really liked at the end of that scene, they did a wide shot of him between the tank and the trailer, kind of showing where he is right now. He's in the middle of, well, does he take this home route or does he go back to fighting?
Yeah.
That's what I took it as.
Another random fact for that scene is that tank would be implied to be Mitch's tank that he took with him, that we learn later on. But the other thing from that scene is he's talking about his parents and how kind of letting out that he had kind of a cruel father, just a little bit there. He doesn't totally imply he's like, when I was bad, my father was mean. But we also learned that Megan had a really mean father, apparently. And also that she asks if she's good, and we have this whole good and bad talk with her and who gets to survive in her mind. And she's thinking, well, good people get to survive. And she asks him, are we going to survive because we're all good? And he doesn't respond. He never responds to that question. So he does tell her that they're going to survive, but not because we're good. That he never answers that.
He does tell her that she's good.
Right. He does tell her that.
And she is. She's a good kid. She's bringing him sort of around.
No, she must be beaten.
And in a certain, I mean, he's not changed obviously or anything like that, but it's giving him another reason to live and kind of go back into his crazy survival mode.
Yeah. We then get the governor in the trailer with Lily and Morgan after this moment where Lily wants to set up a nurse's station here and kind of really start helping people survive. And we see that later on, that nurse's station, while they're kind of all hanging out there, and Tara meets a friend. They're just friends.
I called it too. I'm like, oh, she's totally hitting on her, because we did learn in the last episode that she is a lesbian. So it makes sense that they'd want to try to build relationships with every new character. They seem to do mostly. A lot of people hooking up.
Yeah, a lot of people. Well, Tara, after listening all night to Lily and the governor last week,
Oh, God.
she must have been thinking about it a lot.
I had repressed that. Thank you.
But how lucky for her that another Army Reserve there, Alicia, is also into the same things. So Alicia from the Army Reserves totally calls out that Tara's just talking a whole lot of shit on her gun game. So
Tara's getting good at that. Just talking crap about everything.
yeah, pretty much. So, oh wow, apparently the stream's back up. So
woohoo!
what do you know?
Hi, everyone.
Cool. Oh yeah, our stream was down, but it's back up. Sweet. All right, guys. Well, I will start paying attention to the chat again. But so yeah, so we get that back. We get that again. So some nice nuggets on Alicia and Tara. And I was kind of noticing that with this episode, what it was really doing in the past episode really allows us to have is for the upcoming episode, it's not just going to be like with Woodbury, where most of the people were kind of random to us for the most part. They're kind of really trying to connect us with this crew. So we're not going to be as connected with them as the prison crew, but at least if they do end up fighting each other and that happens, both sides, we're going to be like, oh, well, I like that person on that side. I like that person on that side. So there's not going to be a casualty that doesn't mean something to you.
Yeah, they're not nameless stormtroopers like, a group from Woodbury would be. We just have like a group of random Woodbury residents blindly following
We still
the
have our
governor.
Darth Vader, though.
Yeah.
Very much so. I'm surprised like the Imperial March doesn't play every time he goes
I
by.
think it should.
Yeah, but we do still have a lot of nameless Woodbury people and a lot of nameless people in the trailer who
That's
are just
true,
cannon fodder.
But we have names to people who have guns. We've got Tara and now Alicia, who kind of bears a striking resemblance to someone in the comics that I won't get into that right now because that might be spoilers for coming episodes, I suppose.
Yeah. But there's definitely a group that I mean, there's a lot of groups in the comics that I hope to see in the future, and we'll see what correlations we get. And if that happens, we will talk about that afterwards. So we don't spoil anything for you guys. But meanwhile, while that's all going on,
Also, really quickly.
Yeah.
Or no, I guess we find that out later. I was going to say, we don't see, if I'm going to say his name right, Shermert. He's missing in action.
The other sort of survivor from when Martinez abandoned the governor.
Yeah. So we find out what happened with him. But we find that out as the hunting crew has kind of gone off, and the hunting crew now is Martinez, Mitch, Pete. Yeah, Pete. We find that out later is his name, Pete, and Martinez. So the governor and those three are all out hunting, and we find out that there's a pond, but there's no fish. It's a dead pond, apparently. And they come up to a man without a head who has liar tacked onto him that has like a giant sign with a liar. And they move on, and they find a guy sitting in a chair, lounging back with no head, who has a rapist tagged onto him, and then murderer on the final guy who has shot himself with that sign. So the implication to me being that the guy with murderer killed the rapist, killed the liar for their sins, and then has sinned himself, so now he has to take himself out. It was very reminiscent of almost like Seven to me. It kind of reminded me of that movie.
Yeah,
their heads were gone, so it's what's in the box.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
But yeah, it was I thought that was interesting, and I think that was more for the case of the governor looking at that in a different way, and first seeing the liar and having that resonate with him, because he's being a liar the whole time.
Hopefully he wasn't a rapist, but he almost was.
He almost was.
He almost was.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way. It was a very interesting to have, one right after the other. They are very much reflections of who and what the governor is, and how, and just sort of this dark descent. And he was a good man at one point, and, he did have a fall from grace, and, these progressively worse things being reflected in that.
Well, and I think maybe the rapist thing, although he didn't go all the way with Maggie, he still made her feel vulnerable. And, on the one hand,
it was a mental
rape. It was a mental rape of her.
So, yeah, I mean, it definitely was a reflection of who he's become, which is going to carry out through that episode, and seems to be the theme of the episode.
Do you think with the last one being, the murderer and having that tag and having him killed himself, and he was a family man, do you think that spells out what's going to come for the governor as well if he continues to pursue this dark path?
Well, I found it interesting that specific guy still had that picture with him of his family, but meanwhile the governor has now thrown away that picture of almost his humanity.
Yeah, it was almost an identical picture, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was almost identical.
Maybe if he wouldn't have found this new family, that would have been what happened to him, because he didn't
Yeah,
you
he
know, as
just
we
didn't
talked
care.
about, he didn't seem like he cared to live anymore. And maybe he would have gotten to that point where he does take his own life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he didn't. For a couple
for
other people.
everyone.
Everyone around him.
For Martinez, for Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Aw,
not for
Pete.
the girls, though. They seem to need him.
Ladies love the governor.
Lily
they
needs
do.
some love.
Lily especially. So they then go sit down, and after with the Walker family, and we also find the heads too, which is pretty sweet. The heads. I like that too, but
Oh, you missed the fish tank, don't you, Dave? The governor's fish tank.
That was really cool. We all went to Halloween Horror Nights, and they had the Walking Dead made set up, and they did have an area with all these giant, this giant tank with all the heads. So that was really cool to see.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, Halloween Horror Nights was fun to have, especially if you're a big Walking Dead fan. They do it at Universal Studios once a year, and they've been doing Walking Dead since last year, so always a fun time. But after this whole moment, they have a sit down and they find some beers, so why not share some
Knock a few
campfire
back.
stories, knock a few back, and kind of talking about their past, and we get a lot of backstory about these three main soldiers. And you have Mitch, who was in the army, who used to be an ice cream truck man, and then,
Then he drove the tank.
yeah, he drove the tank, which is that tank
He's
we
still
see in
the driver
camp.
then for everything.
Especially tanks. Yeah. And Pete, who was also in the army apparently, who is a good man. We get that from Mitch. And then the governor saying that he survived. That's all he'll say about his backstory.
And Martinez doesn't follow up with anything. He's like, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. So, yeah, and kind of funny then right afterwards we get Martinez talking about this ideal place they used to live in beforehand, the town, and Lily really interested in it, and the governor just leaves and won't talk about it, doesn't even want to be there for the conversation. So, yeah, just completely blocking that out.
And it's interesting to hear Martinez talk about it too, because it was his home too, and everything was going so well up until the point when it didn't, up until the point when the governor started going off the rails. But Martinez still holds on to that idea, like it worked for a little while. We could make it work again.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if Martinez would have gone, lived a little longer, that would have been something that he would have looked at doing, finding another town, building some more walls with this new group of people, because it seemed to be a group that he could trust. And the only one that was a little off the reserve, so to speak, was Mitch, but he didn't really look that much like a Shane.
No.
I think he was kind of close to that, the B guy that's maybe a little questionable, but wasn't going to be a threat like the governor or...
Well, I mean, it's just like your soldier who will do anything it takes, but
Yeah.
he listens to authority. Like, he'll listen to you and stand down if he's told to stand down.
Yeah, when Pete sort of took the helm, like he listened when Pete told him, "Hey, back off."
Yeah, I mean, he was mad. He spoke his mind, but he still listened.
I think that's a good military thing. And my stepdad's in the Navy, so
Yeah.
definitely good at, following rank and taking orders. And they had a lot of people in this group that was in the military, which I think was a good idea to get them all together, and
Yeah.
should have kept more of them.
Whoops. Yeah, I mean, you have your soldiers, but hey, Laura Jones saying ice cream truck van would be a great way to draw walkers away in the most hilarious way ever.
That's true. They are really loud.
That would be
And who could
fantastic.
resist ice cream?
That
Especially
would
not
actually
walkers.
be a really great idea. Get
Just
them away
slap on
that
some
way.
humans on the side instead of the ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ah. So,
Tish.
Where's a pun jar when you need it?
so Martinez
This is
drunk.
an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Megan.
I'm sorry.
Sleepy Hollow.
So Martinez, a little drunk, comes in to the governor who's trying to fix his leak, saying that he's got tools. And by that, he means let's go play golf on our own.
I do like the added touch that every time somebody has alcohol, it's like me when I just take a sip or you just get hammered.
Yeah.
Because all these people are a bunch of lightweights now because they're never drinking and hardly eating.
Well, Martinez was knocking back some hard alcohol when he was like back on the trailer.
But before that,
Yeah,
when
they
he got
just
up
had
from the
one
table, he
beer.
had
It
to
was
have
like,
like
whoa.
just one
Yeah.
beer. And
It's like
He
Jack
was feeling
Sparrow.
it.
Like, whoa. But I thought it was funny when they started, kind of zooming in on Martinez when he has his back to the governor. Because earlier in the episode, I'm like, all three of them have their back to the governor. That's a terrible idea. And here Martinez is with his back to the governor, and that's when we take this dark turn again.
Yeah, just a little dark. So that kind of happens as they're having this conversation about the Martinez warning the governor about the family, first of all, and just like, I'd be worried about losing them again. I can't believe you would do that again. That would be awful to go through that twice. So it seems like Martinez must have gone through the same sort of thing. That's kind of what I picked up in that. But
I think all of those were also triggers to him.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, I have to be stronger. In the cabin when he was talking to Martinez is like, oh, you seem like a changed man. He's like, I am. And he's like, well, good.
Yeah.
Turns out it wasn't that big of a change.
No, apparently not. But the governor, so then Martinez says, like, we can share the crown at one point.
And it was just like the switch went off.
Golf club switch.
I don't know about you guys. I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that coming.
It's
either.
right at that moment.
Not that moment.
We all knew that some sort of turn was going to happen, but I think with the preview last week with the governor driving away at one point, I wasn't seeing that coming either. He's going to turn on people eventually, but I was not expecting right at that moment.
And he kept saying, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
I clearly didn't predict it because I was completely off in my prediction, which I will admit to, and we will talk about during the comment section. But yes, I was wrong. I admit it. My prediction was off. But yeah, so governor finding his own golf ball and smacking that over, and and then dragging him over to the Walker pit. And
it wasn't enough to hit him on the back of the head. He had to kick him off the trailer and then drag him and hold him over the Walker pit and then toss
kick him
in.
into the Walker pit. But then I guess he could survive. But I mean, the point would be then that, like, at least that way it looks like an accident. Like, it doesn't look like.
And they all saw him drinking, and so I don't think they would question the fact that if his trailer was so close to this pit and he's shooting golf balls and just kind of walks off and slips into the.
Well, it might have been just what he was talking about with Megan at the beginning of the episode. You sooner or later you have to make a move, and with Martinez being drunk and no one being around, maybe it didn't even matter. That the whole conversation they were having, maybe that didn't matter. Maybe he's just like, no, would be a good time.
So you think he was waiting for the opportune moment?
If you were looking for the opportune moment.
I just really think it was just those triggers just pulling him off more so than anything else. Like, I don't think he was necessarily thinking he had to do that until those triggers. Like, he was thinking about it, probably.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, like, the wheels
triggers.
are spinning.
Right.
But it was only up until that line when he finally made the decision. It was like, okay, it's now or never.
And I almost would have, instead of that trigger, we can both share the crown, and he's like, I don't want it that way. I would have figured him getting rid of Martinez would have been something like he would have reminded him too much of his past or said something about his past, and that would have been the reason to kill. Not necessarily because I think it was a little bit of going back, like, I don't want that power again, but he clearly does.
Yeah. So Pat on the chat saying, I definitely did not see that coming. I thought Governor was a changed man. Laura Jones saying, me too. So shocked. I like Martinez too. I wanted him and Derrial to team up. And
I did too.
That would be a great little spinoff.
I've always kind of liked him. We didn't know that much about him. Then this episode, I feel like we were introduced to him and then Pete, and I liked both of them.
Both of them were really great.
And they both got killed.
And then Pat saying, Brett Henry saying it was shocking in a way, but I didn't fully trust him. And Laura Jones saying, I was hoping for the little girl, for Megan to be watching from the distance and be another Clementine will remember this moment. Clementine will remember
Well,
this.
at first, because we don't really know what trailer they're on top of, so you don't know how close they are to everybody.
That's what really surprised me, because I didn't realize that they'd driven off to a different location. I was just like, how is no one going to see and notice this? But I guess they drove off for whatever reason.
Yeah, I didn't know if they had gone on top of the roof after
they
fixed
drove off
it.
the golf. Yeah. But, and this is also the scene where we find out that Chumper, or I think that was his name, Chumper? Chumper died. Yeah, he had such a strange name. Chumper died, and that he kind of went off the hinges. So that's where we find that out.
And he's basically talked about either you live with the memories or you don't.
Right.
And he couldn't. And the governor even says, well, you seem to be doing okay. And he's like, well, so do you. So here are two guys that it separates.
Like, I almost feel like that was, to me, that seemed like the trigger moment was that moment right there with Martinez saying, well, you seem to be living with it just fine, too. when the governor's been trying to change. So I think that was the huge trigger that I noticed in my mind. But afterwards, the governor wakes up from a really bad dream, but that was not the dream of killing Martinez.
There was a moment where I thought, okay, maybe he only dreamed about killing Martinez, and
That
then
was
the
my moment,
immediate
too.
next scene is like, nope, he did.
I was like, wow, what if that was just a dream sequence? And nope, not just a dream sequence.
So we
One
found
can
his
hope.
body.
One can
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, not at all.
Nothing's a dream in The Walking Dead.
No.
No. But Mitch and Pete come back. They found Martinez's body. As Kristin, you were talking about, they chalk it up to, well, he must have just been drunk and fallen over. And yeah. And a lot of people are just like, what? No, what? Not Martinez. He was really good. Like, people actually thinking that that's crazy. And Pete's saying that he'll take charge, with the group not too happy about that.
Which I did think was a little confusing, because he did seem like such a nice stand-up guy that actually I almost would have preferred to have him.
He was essentially the Rick of this group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
The
he's a good,
earlier on
honorable
Rick,
man
yeah.
who comes from a position of authority. You know, he was in the army. Rick was a sheriff. And it was, I think part of the reason why they were sort of against somebody just stepping in and saying, I'm in charge now, was because it was kind of shady the way Martinez died. You know, their immediate reaction was, Martinez is dead? That makes no sense.
Right.
And then you have somebody stepping up going, well, now I'm in charge. That doesn't jive right.
No, I can see that too. But at least, like, afterwards, when they want to vote, Pete's like, look, I'm just going to take charge for now, and we'll take a vote later. Like, he throws that out there as an option. He's just trying to get things moving. So
He's like, business as usual.
right,
Yeah.
let's just keep on moving forward, and we'll hold a
Pete.
vote when we need to. Yeah, I really like Pete.
I did too.
I think that's the most, like, the death I've been the most upset about in a long time in this show.
Again, like,
He
he
was just a good
reminded me
guy.
of Rick. You know, this upstanding guy who has to step it up to make sure that, you know, that that he can take care of everyone the best he can while still trying to be a good man.
Yeah.
Can't have two Ricks on a show.
No.
It's sad.
Clearly not.
So, yeah, that's too bad. But they all go off hunting at business as usual. And they find this camp of survivors. And Pete, being the stand-up guy, just wants to leave them and do nothing. Actually, he wants to take them in. Which, honestly, like, I'll go into my rant later. But, like, Pete wants to take them in. And Mitch wants to just steal their supplies. Not kill them, necessarily. He just wants to steal their supplies, which they don't end up doing. So they end up going off and finding some squirrels. Mitch really pissed off about this. They end up, Governor going back to the camp and finding everybody dead. And everyone's dead. All their supplies has been stolen. And Mitch is really pissed off that they didn't take the supplies first, and that was their supplies, and they should have had it. And referring to it as, these are my supplies.
Well, and I wonder what made him go back there. Are his senses a little bit heightened because he only has half a sight right now? Did he hear something and he went back that way? Because we don't really know what triggered him to go back to that camp as well. And then we're not sure how those people had gotten killed, because it looked like the wire that was around it was broken, like almost rammed into by a car.
And they weren't too far away, so they would have heard gunshots.
Yeah, that's what
they would have heard a struggle. They would have heard people
That's what was
screaming.
weirding me out. I'm just like, how the hell did, like, nobody hear this? Because this is 10 people that got murdered, apparently, because that's what they counted, was 10 people at the camp. Yeah, I don't get. I guess they were ninjas. They were assassinated by ninjas.
They were Assassin's Creed.
It's Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Flag.
they all
Pirates.
must have had
Pirates.
Pirate ninjas.
silencers or something. It was just
It's a very odd, sort of transition. We go and come back, and immediately it wasn't even like they came back the next day and everyone was dead. This was like, what, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So it was very odd.
And it was funny how, let's say they were far enough away, but then the governor started going back towards there. So maybe if they were far enough away, it was kind of weird that he still thought to go back there.
Right.
So he had to have heard.
And Laura
something.
Jones saying, I think that she thinks the governor killed the camp because he knew to go back. So
That is a possibility. I mean,
Did they split up then at some point?
they Because they didn't have a reason to mistrust Brian like Martinez did. Martinez wanted to keep him in sight.
Yeah. Right.
But these two guys don't have any reason to mistrust him. So they
Yeah.
might have split up. And it is possible that the governor killed them and stole the food. But first of all, we would have seen him, take the food out later at some
Yeah.
point.
And the gun and stuff that he had, you would have heard it because
Right,
he
that's
didn't have a
allowed.
silencer on it.
And he would have been
he
covered in
would've-
blood
Right.
coming back.
Yeah,
Where
I
would
don't,
he hide the supplies?
Yeah, I just definitely don't see it having been the governor because, I mean, yeah, where would all the supplies gone? I mean, they weren't gone that long. They could dry the supplies, hide them so nobody knew he grabbed the supplies, and then killed 10 people on his own with a single gun.
And if he was gone for X amount of hours in between that time, one of them would have said something like, well, you were gone for this time.
But I think it was just another random group that, I'm saying this, Pat asking who we think killed all the campers. I think it was just a random group. I really don't think it's...
Honestly, the point isn't the group or who killed them. The point was the governor taking stock of the two top dogs, here at the camp now, and learning who's who. Pete is
Right.
the good man, and Mitch isn't a bad guy per se, but he'll do what it takes to survive. And so that's the point of that scene, was just the governor taking stock
Laura
of
Jones
both
thinks it
of
was
them.
Carole, the silent assassin.
You know.
But then they would have been burnt. They would have been burnt to crisp.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so funny.
That would
Well,
be an
she's on her own now.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know. This is just kind of something that's been driving me crazy about this show. Sorry, it's just, I hate that the world's just run by assholes. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, honestly, good people can do a good job. And it's just like, why the hell is every single encampment that we see run by assholes? It's driving me crazy. Like, come on.
But Rick's great.
Like, Rick's-
Daryl's
Now that
wonderful.
the dictatorship is gone.
Well, now that the dictatorship's got is becoming good. But
Well,
it's just like...
It's not that the world is run by assholes, so to speak. It's just that, you don't know who's...
But it's more just this other encampment comes and kills this camp, so it's another group of assholes killing everybody. It's just like, can't someone just come and say, like, you can join our group? Because honestly, there's power in numbers. You want a group because then you can say, like, all right, you guys go hunting. Everyone has some sort of skill that can help out.
Well, it becomes an us versus them scenario. And when the second you go, okay, I have my group, and this is the only group that matters to me, everybody else who is outside of this group, those are the other.
Think outside of the box. There's power in numbers. Like, maybe this
It's
10
hard
people,
to
maybe
think-
that person's a medic, maybe that person can help gather supplies. Maybe
hard.
that person's an expert hunter who
Dave
knows
is
how to set traps.
Very angry right now.
I'm not
Nobody
disagreeing.
thinks. Use your brain. Everyone has a skill. They've survived for a year.
It's
at this
really
point.
hard to think straight when you're really hungry. To be fair, everybody in this world is just hangry.
I'm sorry, it bothers me. So you can use
No,
your
I
brain,
agree with
use
you.
other
I wish
people.
I like to believe in
Dave,
the best of humanity.
If that happened, we wouldn't have a TV show. That's what my
No.
mom always used to say with me, because I would go, why does this happen in this? Because Kristin, because if they didn't have that kind of drama, nobody would care to watch
The
it.
Walking Dead
It's true.
really tries to be smarter than that. So that's why it bothers me, is because they really do. It's just like, come on.
Well, they contrast that by showing that there is still good and left in humanity. There is hope even amidst the world being run by assholes.
The thing about all these zombie shows is every single zombie show, including this one, is about humanity when they're in the brink of horribleness and how is humanity really going to act. And every single show tends to go towards this thing is like, well, humankind really gets evil when all these horrible things happen.
When the chips are down.
Right, and I kind of disagree. I'm like, you know what? Some people are smarter than that. I think, let's just work together. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Well, honestly, in the worst case scenario, you get two things. You get the absolute worst in humanity, and you get the absolute best. And I think with this show, we do get to see times when it is the absolute best, and we also get to see the times when it's at its absolute
Right.
worst.
Watchtower Bay is saying that this is like Spaceballs. This is a room full of assholes. I like that
Keep
reference.
firing assholes.
I like that. I'm sorry.
Where's
That was
Bill
my mini
Pullman when
rant.
you
I'm
need him?
sorry. I do really like this show.
that'd
That
be
just does
great.
bother me when that happens. So, anyways.
But I
You
think
could be driving around in a Winnebago. That'd be great.
I think Megan, though, you're right. He was, I think the whole time the governor was sizing up almost not necessarily who his competition was, but I think it gets to the point when you see two people making mistakes because you don't want to quite go the Mitch route and go attack necessarily these people, and you don't want to quite go the Pete route where you don't do where you want to like save everybody. So he's probably looking at these two people and going, man, they both suck. I could do this so much better.
And
I did do this so much better until I murdered all my villagers.
Yeah,
But until that
I
point,
had this. Well, he did.
he
until
really
that
was.
point.
Woodbury was great.
Yeah.
It was this legendary place Martinez thinks of fondly back on.
yeah.
Well, and unlike the prison, even, I mean, although the prison has a good system now in place, except for this flu that took over, but they had like the beautiful surroundings. It looks like something off of a pamphlet, come visit Woodbury.
Yeah.
So not only did he have everybody working together in a society, but it was attractive.
It did have its dark side. He did have to go and kill people, but the townspeople didn't know that.
Right.
And I do kind of wonder if he hadn't killed Martinez, what would Martinez's call been coming across this same camp? How would Martinez have been? Would Martinez have done what they did at Woodbury and just decide to kill them and take their supplies? Because Martinez was very much a part of that group when the governor was in charge and making those calls.
It didn't.
He was, but he has this new group of survivors now.
It didn't seem like that was his point of view anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise we wouldn't have this big of a group of survivors, I don't think. I think he was actually taking people in because he even says to the governor, if you weren't there and you didn't have that kid, I wanted to taking you in. And a kid's someone defenseless who's not going to be able to help himself, so he could have easily killed all of them because of the governor, but he didn't for the sake of helping a family and being a good person in that moment. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, like, Martinez was actually trying to do the right thing. And even, I think, Mitch complained to him, is like, we can't feed this many people. But Martinez still took them in. So I don't know if Martinez would have at this point done that. So that's actually a good question. What would Martinez do? I wear a bracelet. WWMD. What would Martinez do? That's my bracelet. So after this moment, the governor's just ready to peace out because he thinks things are going to go down. I think he just thinks that Pete and Mitch at this point are going to fight each other and they're not going to be able to get things done.
Or that they're just not going to be able to care for everybody and that anarchy is going to break loose.
Well, and I think he only has this group that he cares about, and I don't think he cares about the rest of them.
Forget these guys.
I think it is that. I think, he found his family again that he wants to take care of, and I don't think he wants to sacrifice them and take them out on his own, and I think it was potentially starting to kind of scare him what he was turning into again, because we did see him work with that in the last episode. It's been months now since he was the governor, and I think him leaving and seeing that swamp full of walkers again, it was another trigger. He killed Martinez. Maybe he was like, crap, I did that, and then I got these two guys who don't know what they're doing. I want to save my family, and I really want to be good.
I want to be Brian. I don't want to be the governor. I don't want the crown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Brian, then taking his family, if he is Brian at this point, taking the family to just leave, peace out. They go to, and they're all leaving, and no one's really happy about it, but they're just following his intuition because, Lily, do you trust me? So they end up going until they find these swamp walkers, as Kristin called them, who are all trudging through the swamp and seem to have no way to get past them. But I don't know, they were pretty slow. Maybe they could have driven around them or to a different route.
like a bridge.
Yeah, I was thinking, use them as a bridge. Thank you, walkers. You made a great bridge for us.
He shoots them all in the head and they all fall down like dominoes.
Yeah, exactly.
And drive over it.
Perfect. Hey, good work. Maybe.
I think maybe the weight of the car would have just
No.
sunk.
No.
This Walker Bridge is going to work, Megan.
This is the new
It's going to
thing.
be a thing.
Look, we've seen helicopter walkers attacks. We've seen hot walkers falling through ceilings. We've seen dropping off walkers. I want a walker bridge. Use them to your advantage. Use them to help.
Well, we saw what happened when they tried to drive. The wheels get stuck in the walkers.
It's true.
Yeah. Brent Henry's saying that you made a great point, Kristin, that you can't have two Ricks. So on that note, after they go back, the governor comes
He kills
back.
the Rick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Comes back to talk to Pete and just straight up kills him.
That really was sad because it was somebody, I think because we recognized a Rick in him, he just seems like this great guy who wants to do the right thing. And just.
It really sucks seeing nice guys finish last.
or just get
Just
finished.
get murdered. Oh. And he didn't even have the common courtesy to like take him out in the head. He stabbed him in the back, like literally.
And
What do
then
you think
chained
that
him
was?
to the bottom of a lake.
Yeah.
So that he could take a gander
Well, I
since he
guess-
doesn't have his
I
tank
think there's a lot
anymore.
of, symbolism and metaphors in Walking Dead. So stabbing him in the back, I think, was the best route.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
E2, Brian.
Yeah, yeah, totally. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great metaphor. Say he stabs him in the back, because I mean, like at that point, Pete still totally trusts him. And as soon as he walks in, he's like, "I know why you're here. We got to talk about Mitch."
Yeah.
And nope. And then he goes over to Mitch with a gun and gives this backstory on himself about his brother and how his brother was the good guy, like Pete, and he was the hero. But he would always get his ass handed to him by his father. And we're getting all these lessons that his father imparted to him, like the lesson that the governor's not trying to impart on Megan with the chess game, where like he never lets Megan win because his father never let him win, because you have to learn on your own.
All these people
Nothing's
need
gonna
better
go easy on
parents.
you. That's what it all boils
Where
down
was his
to.
mother? He just needs his mommy.
She also got beat around by the vet dad, probably.
Well,
That-
probably.
Yeah.
Probably quite a bit. But the other lesson that everybody loves a hero, but his brother was the hero and, got beat horribly. But that didn't save the governor. The governor still got beat up by his dad. So what lesson does that teach the governor? Is you can be a hero, you can pay for it, but ultimately that's not going to be what saves the day.
Right. Exactly, yeah. That's the exact lesson that he seems to have imparted. And him telling Mitch this story, like, either you can join me or not. So have this cigarette.
Or you could join Pete.
Yeah, you could join
I don't know if
Pete
I
and
could have
Martinez.
joined him
Let's
because
go
I
for a
don't.
swim.
I don't know if I could have joined him because I've never smoked. I'd be like, I don't want to smoke this cigarette, but I'll join you. Don't make me smoke this though. That's just,
I couldn't do
I don't
it.
know. That's funny.
You
That's what was
join up-
going through my mind during that scene. I'm like, I wouldn't want to smoke the cigarette, but I don't know. I want to survive.
That's the odd moral dilemma.
That was my moral
I can join
dilemma.
up with this murderer, but I will not smoke that cigarette.
That's the line for Dave.
And I'm talking about like good guys need to make it, but I would take joining a murderer over smoking a cigarette.
Wow.
You need to
Personal
survive.
health is very important.
It is
I'm glad
very
you've taken
important.
that
That's why I'm
stance.
drinking a sip of this water, or is it vodka? I don't know.
Walking Dead drinking
Which
game.
we'll
Are
get
you
on from the
holding out on
comments
vodka in this
situation.
video? I want some.
We'll talk about more during the comments. But if I have vodka in here, but
Keeps it underneath.
yeah, whoops, yeah. So, anyways,
Dave does not reflect AfterBuzz TV. I'm just putting that out there.
my views and opinions do not reflect AfterBuzz TV's views and opinions.
Exactly.
So he ends up talking about like everyone loves a hero, and they're going to make Pete out to be a hero, and that's going to be the situation. And I like I think it was Baha Val's comment, or was Laura Jones' comment? I'm sorry, I kind of missed it and it got scrolled up there. But basically, as we see Pete's fate is Pat drowning for eternity. That was the comment there. So that would be awful. So basically, Pete, the hero, is left to drown for eternity. How terrible is that?
And we have the governor like looking down at him, and he's doing this kind of head tilt thing. And it was very reminiscent of when he used to stare at the tanks, in Woodbury. He would just, make yourself look at it is the way he used to justify it to himself. But no, he likes looking at it.
And now he has a bigger
He's
tank.
got a bigger tank.
But yeah,
He literally has a bigger tank now.
really.
So when he attacks the prison, he can just throw them all in there.
But so I think the thing here too with that is that the governor views a hero as someone to use to survive. Like, hey, someone can be a hero, that's fine, but they're not going to survive in the end. Everyone loves a hero.
They're
But that
the
doesn't mean
dead
you need to
weight
be a hero.
in his.
And he even used to do that at Woodbury, like when he was talking about like when the like the helicopter pilot passes away. He's just like, this person died, because I murdered him, but this person died, but his sacrifice means that we found supplies, things like that. And he always used to twist that, and we can see that he's coming right back around to doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. So the governor then taking charge right afterwards, making a list of what supplies they need, telling them all advice like, hey, if you come across strangers, avoid them. So kind of like taking
avoid
charge
them,
now.
but yet let him know where they
Tell
were.
me
Right.
exactly where they were.
It's exactly what he was doing.
It's
at
pretty much
Woodbury.
Woodbury. Yeah, it's Woodbury.
Well, we kind of
There's
noticed
two.
at one point too. They had a similar shot to when we saw him in Woodbury with the eye patch, and he's got his black coat up and kind of popping his collar a little. It looked like it was popped slightly. So it was definitely. And now he's talking more to everybody. He's back to his complete governor voice.
Yeah,
You could
totally.
tell
Yeah,
that
he's
he was-
complete. Yeah, his tone
That
has changed.
air of authority is
Right.
back. That
And
sound.
and apparently, well, he did say people believe
and
what
Lily
they want to
loving
believe.
it.
But it's like, does nobody suspect that this guy, who's really quiet, we don't know anything about him, all of a sudden now, he's, taking charge of everything. I would be suspect of that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, who does this guy? He was really quiet, and now he's talking.
and he just came too. He's like the newest member to the group.
Yeah, and these other
it is
guys
weird
are
that everyone's
dead.
not
He's a big,
suspecting
tall
it.
guy, so
Yeah, it
And
is
they did not
strange.
take a vote.
It's very strange
Yeah.
that no one's suspecting the governor of this, but I guess it's the fact that Mitch joined up with him at this point. And the governor really needed Mitch, because if he had to kill Mitch, I don't know if anyone would have honestly believed him at that
Yeah.
point.
Probably not.
'Cause that would
At that
seem
point, it
really
would have
weird.
been really shady.
Yeah, but that could be the reasoning why. But at that point, Lily going to look at the governor's eye without the eye patch on, really turned on by this
very
new governor.
Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. And Tara, abandoning her post, because why not? Who needs to
Playing
keep
tag.
guard? He's playing tag.
I didn't mind that to an extent because they still had Alicia was
Well,
there
yeah,
with the
Alicia
guns
was
and
still
stuff.
there to
and I
guard.
think they're trying to keep Megan in her kid mode as much as possible because she was quiet for a while, so they're still trying to incorporate some fun with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like that. It seems like Tara's nice. And at the same time, like you said, Alicia still is standing guard.
Alicia needs to do a better job.
Yeah.
Not just
Well,
watch her hot girlfriend run around.
The question is, were there more guards posted around other areas? Because hopefully there were, because maybe it wasn't her post that was like.
I
not
don't think
guarded.
it would have been. I honestly can't tell you how that walker got in, but yeah.
Yeah, but
somebody fell asleep on the job.
Walker got in, and not governor's child number 2. Megan is attacked, and by this walker, tries to hide under a trailer. Bad idea.
Always a bad idea.
Just run. But yeah, so crawling under the trailer, about to get got, and about to get got, and Tara
Get
comes
eaten.
to try and save Megan, but ripping off the walker's leg. So not really working as the foot starts to be teared off. When the governor in badass mode with no shirt on, or well, the half on.
Shirt was open.
Shirt half on.
He left getting busy to take care of business.
Yeah. So.
I don't.
Yeah.
It was
Other business
Yeah.
needed to get taken care of.
real. Well, no, it's all real business.
Yeah, I think the other business is pretty real to me. I don't.
Deadly business.
Yeah.
Priorities.
Well, you don't really want to have sex with a girl when her daughter's dying outside.
Yeah, that's kind of that's no good.
It's Stephen.
Yeah. I mean, your priorities are in that place. My priorities might be in other places. It's okay.
Moving on.
Not gonna say where.
So he
comment.
saves the day. And you know what that moment did remind me of a lot in Woodbury when he it was right after, I believe, Penny died, and he was watching them, and one of the walkers had gone in and started eating one of the Woodbury residents, and they were kind of like, what are we going to do? And everybody's standing around after he was bitten, and because it was somebody that they all knew, and the governor just comes down, shoots him in the head, and walks up. And that was very much what just happened.
Yeah, well, the
at
camera,
this scene.
the camera angle was also down, looking up at him to show power because of where that camera was that automatically established that. And afterwards, he's just pissed, staring at dead pond with Pete chained down there. And like you said, reminiscent of his water tanks in a way. It's almost like a trophy again. But like then that moment is when it snaps to him that he needs more protection. And he immediately goes off to the prison. Now we find out why he was staring at the prison. We finally get that wrap up to 2 episodes now where he was staring at the prison and exactly what was going on. So him just staring at that prison with his gun, almost suspect that he might shoot Rick or Carole or
Michonne.
who he then sees. What a pleasant sight for him to see. Sight? Get okay. So,
Because
yeah.
he has one eye.
So he's poised to kill as the episode wraps up. So
I'm always happy when Michonne smiles. I'm just going to say that. I'm gonna throw that
Yeah.
out there.
It's like the world is a better place now.
So with that said, I do want to get on to some of your guys' comments from last week. Ray B asking, did you guys do this show drunk or high last week? Rick would kill the governor on sight. The governor is not going to join the prison to live with Rick and crew. Get over it. Oh, I keep this alcohol. This is vodka in here. It's not water
I was hoping
at all.
they'd have bunk beds like Rick and then the governor.
Yeah.
It'd be the odd couple.
I don't believe we were high or drunk. I
Yeah.
can't speak for everybody on the panel, but
Look, I was wrong, okay? I made a bad prediction. I was wrong. Totally off. So there we go. I was wrong. So
Nice, Dave.
Bradman 006 Bondish going on there. James Bond. My prediction: the governor will turn against Martinez, save another group of survivors, and lead them his new family to the prison. Good prediction there.
somebody got a copy of this episode early.
But then he
kidding.
says
Good
Rick and
job.
company will have to let him in because to this new group, the governor will be a hero. Don't know if that's quite what's going to be going
that
on.
didn't-
But for the most part, though, really good prediction on all of that. Goronado 27 saying, I feel that the governor can be redeemable. So some shows, like some villains don't always stay as villains. That's true. Apparently that didn't happen this time around. And D. Schiamni saying, hey, I find no issue with stating the fact that Lily was horny as hell last week. Thought I'd wrap it up on a fun one. So, Kristin, let's talk about your quiz.
Yeah, so thank you guys. I've been doing a quiz, and this is actually going to be the last question because we're going to pick a winner next week, and then I'll give out instructions on how to like get your address to me and stuff like that, so I can send out this poster that actually Megan got signed for you.
That is
at the
Megan, who we've
premiere.
been referring to.
Yes,
Hi,
this is the
guys.
Megan. She usually the Megan. She usually sits on the
Megan.
sofa and watches with us, and we've gone out to the premieres and stuff as camera and host, and so she was the one that got all of those awesome signatures. So we
Norman
should
Reedus twice.
thank her for that. So our winners last week were, and the question was, what do Beth and Maggie sing? And it was The Parting Glass. So we had a lot of good answers for that. But the winners were Tiara Thomas, which is the second time. TJ Curtis, also a second time. Aaron Miller, second time. Bahaha Val, third time. And 3 is the maximum that you can be entered in. So your odds are in your favor.
May
And
the odds ever be in your favor.
I'm just going Hunger Games theme because it's,
It just came out this
Opening
week.
came out. It was
weekend,
great. J. Brian Shaver, I believe. Sorry, I can't read my handwriting sometimes. First time. So this week, I want the final question is going to be Derrial related because I love him, and who doesn't? How long was Derrial lost? You guys remember that?
Ooh, good question.
How many days?
How many days was Derrial
So
lost?
please answer on YouTube only, and top 5 people will be entered, and I'm going to have a big bucket here for us to pick out who's going to win.
Nice. Will it be a KFC bucket?
Possible.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Predictions. I think it looks like a war is in order.
Yeah.
It
do
looks
too.
like a war might
Do you
be in
think
order.
the governor dies in this war?
I
Yes.
think Alicia's going to take him out.
Whoa.
I
Crazy
think
prediction.
Megan will take him out.
All right.
Not this one.
All right, guys, if you do want to join the live chat, make sure to
Just
join
kidding.
us every week on Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time as we talk some Walking Dead. Do rate us, comment us, positive or negative on YouTube and iTunes. If negative, just let us know why so we can make sure to try and make the show better for you guys. And once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is Klein.
And I'm Megan Salinas. You can find me on Twitter at @TheMenguin. And I'm also on the AfterBuzz show for S.H.I.E.L.D. with Kristin.
Yeah. And I'm Kristen Carole, and you can find me on AfterBuzz S.H.I.E.L.D., and you can find me on Twitter at KristenCarole13.
See you guys next time. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.